Still, it's a good monitor, I would say, for the price. I would recommend this, although you have to be aware that there are some caveats. I bought it with my own money, so it is not a sponsored review. That's just my honest opinion on it. Andycine C7, why I even got it? Since I already got Atomos Ninja V, because I got some trouble with focusing on Blackmagic 6K. I was using Ninja V as my external monitor, and sometimes, especially with wider lenses, there was a problem to acquire focus. Those are photo lenses, so it's rather the fault of the lens itself, because the focus throw is really small on these lenses. You can see my struggle with Canon 24 somewhere here. But this is generally the same case with Sigma 18-35 and most of the photographic lenses for the video, because their focus throw is really small, and focus from 1 meter to infinity is within really small part of the whole focus throw, so it is quite hard to focus between 1 meter and infinity, which is in most cases the focus you work for the video. There are a few options, for example, getting different follow focus, getting bigger monitor. This is 7 inches compared to the 5 inches of the Atomos, and also trying to get different gears for Tilta Mini follow focus I used with Blackmagic. It seems there are no available focus gears for this follow focus on the market, so I was considering get them custom made, but it turned out it is quite time consuming and annoying, might be very expensive. There were basically two options: different follow focus and different monitor. And since another word looking at follow focus is Fotga DP 500 Mark III, it is around 200 euros, and you need a base plate, 2 rods, and a plate for 2 rods, and some attachments for the rods, which makes it like 300 euros plus. Then this seems a nice option, because it is 250 euros and you got external monitor, which is supposed to be quite nice, so I guess it's a better option. So I got this one, next day delivery, not bad. What you got in the box? I would say the box is kind of impressive, it's nicely done. Then you got the next box with the silver letters on it. I got a version without the carrying case because I won't be using it anyway, so I haven't got it. You got 2 cables, micro to full HDMI and mini to full HDMI, so there is no full HDMI to full HDMI in the package. You have to get your own, which I got, and there is some paperwork, and as always the cloth for cleaning, but the box got nice presentation to it. It's not very cheap looking, so that's a plus. Not a big plus, because I would keep it on my shelf anyway, but at the build quality, it's not the best in the world. The buttons are kind of flimsy, they are going all over the place, but they work. This wheel is also not very responsive, and the most concerning things are battery compartments. The whole thing is kind of plasticky, but when you push the battery inside, there is a button to release it, and sometimes it is not depressed. It is very easy to press, and when I was transporting the monitor with the batteries in, a few times they just went out, flying all over the trunk, so it's not secure. But they never fall out when I was using monitor, so maybe that's a plus. But the battery compartments are kind of flimsy, so that's some kind of the downside. So regarding the quality, I would say it's not bad, but it is also not very good. For sure the Atomos got better build quality than this, but since it works fine, and I wonder I won't be dropping this as also Atomos, so that should live for the expectations. Feels kind of plasticky and cheap, especially in the battery compartments, but it's not that bad, so it doesn't feel very cheap. But I've seen some reviews saying it is very good quality. It is not. One annoying thing is that I thought that the mounts are ARRI mounts with pin locators. They are not. The Andycine got this idea. It's similar, but it's different. So you can just attach this arm which was in the box. And regarding this arm, I do not feel like this is the very secure connection, because it takes like a one rotation and a half to screw this in, which means that the so it falls out really fast. So one rotation and a half and it's out, so it's not very secure. So this works, but it is not the best, and it is kind of bulky. And also this connects to the cold shoe or hot shoe, so it is not as flexible as any other mounts which can be screwed into any position on the cage. The battery life is kind of impressive, but you can mount two of these, so two NPF 770 batteries. There are newer ones. I was recording with this for 3, maybe 4 hours, and both were depleted at the end of this time, so I would say it's quite impressive for the 7-inch monitor. Anyway, I'm using this small rig connector to mount it on the camera itself. And the first problem with this mount is that both power connectors are now covered, so with this one you cannot connect an external power or use the monitor as the power device, because it got power out also. So that's the downside, although I'm not using this, so it's not a big problem for me. It looks like that when connected, so it got quite a big footprint compared to the Atomos, but in most cases I should like that or like that, so, or sometimes even 100% flat for the low angle shots, so it is not that annoying. But I think the biggest issue regarding the connections is also that HDMIs are on the bottom, and since it does not impact this configuration, but for example if you want to rotate the screen, it might be the case that now the cable is tangled, and if I want to rotate this direction, then the cable hits the handle, so you have to be aware, you have to do it like that lay it down and then rotate, which might be annoying and not fast in some situations. And also these HDMI connections are quite tight. I wasn't able to plug a cable for the first time. I have to push it really hard, and maybe it's a good thing because it's secured there. And I wonder what's the difference in weight between Andycine C7 and the Atomos. Atomos is 360 grams without the drive and without the battery. With battery it's 556 grams. Andycine seems lighter, but it's not. It's 435 grams monitor itself, so 75 grams heavier. With one battery is 631, but I use it in most cases with two, and with two batteries 827 grams, so kinda heavy. And one annoying thing is that whenever you plug the batteries in, this red dot is shining, so for sure it draws some power from the batteries. I would rather like it turned off completely. So it's strange. Although for transporting it's better to remove the batteries because they are not very secure in the battery compartments. And I would never recommend to move it holding on the battery. Just hold the case. Yeah, so how do these two compare? On the Blackmagic camera in some kind of the working environment, of course I do not use setup like that, but it was the only way to mount these two to compare them. I would start from measuring the temperature of each of them. It's 22.7, 23, which means it's ambient temperature for both of them. I'm turning on Blackmagic, turning on the monitor. The Andycine is connected to the camera directly, and then it routes to the Atomos. And as you can see, the Andycine is silent. It is probably cooled down passively, and the difference is yeah, that's the difference. Atomos is having a fan inside. It's getting a bit quieter after the boot up, but it still runs, and whenever Atomos is recording something, it is quite loud, and it may impact your sound recording, which it did a few times when I was recording on the Sony with Atomos. So I will check the temperature after a few minutes, because the Andycine got really hot to the touch after some time. Atomos is getting hotter also during the use. The first impression is that the menus here are kinda, I would say, different than on Atomos. So for sure the menu on the Andycine is much simpler, but you will get almost all of the functions of Atomos here, except recording and record related stuff. And both of them are on 100% of the backlit, which means they are the brightest possible setting. And the menus, you can get used to it, it's not a problem. Although it seems that this got warmer look than the Atomos for sure. The input of the Atomos is set to standard Rec 709, and the cold temperature is the same, so this one seems a bit warmer. Anyway, it's not a big issue. I don't really care for the color on the monitor unless it's really unrealistic. I color grade the footage in post anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. And this is the footage from the Blackmagic 6k, so yeah, I know how the footage will look like if I see the exposure on the screen, so it's not a problem. What is also different, you got the parade here. When you got a parade on the screen, it covers the footage, and here on the Atomos the waveform is transparent, so it won't mess up with the framing. And here it's messing up with the framing, especially if you change to the 16:9 mode. So with 16:9, then it covers like 1/8 of the frame, and it is not transparent at all. The menus are transparent because you can set the transparency for the menus. Originally it's not transparent, but you can set an alpha parameter for it. I haven't found anything for the waveform or parade. It is always with the black background, so it is kind of annoying. But since you can just press it off, the only thing is that you have to cycle through them, so it slows you down. But generally it's not a big issue, but they could update it in the firmware update to to have it transparent. Then I got set up the false colors, and it's quite nice because there is a scale here which is bigger than on the Atomos. This is a really small scale, although you can see the colors, which is the most important. And you got two modes of the false color, and this one and the other one, when you still can see some details of the footage. It's quite nice functionality, it works. And then I think the most important, one of the important things, I got this set up myself. You got focus assist, and on Atomos I think the mode which is the most efficient is this one, the black one, when you can see the focus points. You got also a few other modes like normal mode, the black and white, and this negative one, and you can set also the color and the visibility of the focus points, how much they are pronounced. And this one is the most effective, although when I was pulling the focus on my Canon 24mm with Atomos, it is not 100% successful. I sometimes miss focus. Even with this focus assist, and without the focus assist it is almost impossible to get proper focus on the Atomos with this Canon. And I'm pulling focus with the whip. So here, to get this mode, I had to set up focus assist to level 9, because anything below was not that pronounced, but on level 10 is just ridiculous, everything is in focus. So it is level 9, and I say it acquires, or it lets you acquire focus quite nice. I especially check my eyes, and if I see the yellow dot inside, that means my eyes are in focus. But if you turn off the focus assist, at the moment the lens is at 28mm, so my face is quite pronounced on the screen. So if I defocus it, then it's quite easy to acquire focus. Sometimes you need to cross the focus point and focus back, but with some practice you can nail focus every time. And I think it's much easier on the 7-inch screen than on the Atomos. On Atomos, especially on wider lenses, when the subject is 2 meters or farther away, it is really hard to get the proper focus, especially on the Canon 24, because the focus throw is really small there, but the sigma is no different. It is photo lens, so it is the same. Lately I shot my kid riding a horse, and I got much better focus with the Andycine, but I also used the hard stops on the Tilta Mini. So whenever I got the farthest focus and the closest focus possible, I locked those two positions with the hard stops, and I was using Tilta Mini, so I wasn't able to overfocus on both the closest and the farthest focus. So it was together the Andycine plus hard stops. So it was different than before when I was shooting just on Atomos without the hard stops. But from the practical point of view, it seems it's much easier to pull the focus here. And the other thing which allows to pull focus easier is the magnification. So here the maximum magnification is 2 times. So I'm like a meter from the lens, so it's not a problem to pull focus, and now I'm in focus. But here you got pinch to focus. So we can move the picture on the screen when it is zoomed. I mean pinch to zoom. You got pinch to zoom here, and the maximum value is 300%, which means it's 3 times magnification. So I would say it's much easier to pull the focus with such magnification. And it is this pinch to zoom I'm not sure it's a best solution, although on the Atomos I sometimes miss this button, especially with gloves, so it is not that good. And here there is a wheel, you can set the zooming, but it is really slow. It is good for the precise zoom, but then it's really slow. It's too slow to use it when you need to acquire focused fast, so it's not a good solution for that. I'd say it's really slow, but and the maximum value is 300%, which means that Andycine got 3 times zoom and Atomos got 2 times. And yeah, as you can see, it's not that easy to push this on-screen icon. It's really small. So I'd say for focusing purposes, which was I think the main reason I got the Andycine, it's better than Atomos. But the Shinobi from Atomos got 4 times magnification, so it's even better than Andycine, although it is still 5 inches. That's what she said. So it looks like that. The menus, I think, are worse than on the Atomos, but it doesn't matter that much. The size, it's much better, and it is much easier to pull the focus. Focus assist, it is hard to say which one is better. We can check how this looks, or how easy, we can check how easy it is to pull focus when I'm using the whip. Yeah, with 18 millimeters, 1.5 meters away, maybe 2 meters away from the sensor, it is a bit better on Andycine. I see more details here, but if I pinch to zoom, it is much better. It's much bigger, and my head is like 2 times bigger on the screen. So I'm trying to focus on Atomos. I think I'm in, probably. And Andycine, I think it's a bit easier, and we can also check the focus assist. So I thought that I got it on Atomos, but no, now I think I got it. And on Andycine you can see this yellow dot in the eye. I would say that it's a bit easier to pull focus on the Andycine because it's bigger, and I've tested this on this Canon 24 and yield better results using Andycine than Atomos, although I was using also hard stops on the follow focus. And let me see what is the temperature now. It's 37 on the Atomos and 40 and 48 on the Andycine, which means it is 10 degrees more. It's actually quite hot to the touch, although it won't burn you. And when the Atomos is recording, it's getting hotter than now. Now it's just a monitor, so for that purpose it is for sure cooler, although it got this noisy fun. So I'd say in that regard Andycine is also better. And for the menus, for sure the menus on Atomos are more intuitive, and I'd say easier to use and faster to use, and you got more settings for most of the functions. It is not the thing that is a deal breaker. It is what it is. Maybe they can fix some issues And so you got double click to get the menu, and you change the backlit moving on this side, and you change the volume here, and you pinch to zoom like that. And sometimes when you want to do one, the other is happening, so you want to pinch to zoom and you change the backlit or the volume, so maybe it's not the best option. And you can block the touch, and then you can zoom with this, but I'd say it's too slow, so I think the touch functionality is necessary. And you can set those 3 shortcut buttons to something you want. And I got the parades, which I mostly use the waveform, false color, and focus assist. And then also the RSD alpha is set to high, because then the menu covers the screen. So for the Blackmagic 6K, if you do not want to record externally, it is for sure better choice than Atomos, unless you want really small setup. But the 7-incher is much better than 5-incher, so it is a better choice than both Ninja and Shinobi, I think. Now it is 50, and in Ninja is 38, so it's for sure getting hotter. This one is on 100% backlit. This one also is on at 100% backlit, and everything else is on the default. The upper display on this unit is supposed to have 2200 nits, and this one is to have 1000 nits, so it should be like 2 times brighter. I would say I can't see any difference. Maybe it depends on the angle. It seems that this is brighter on the monitor of the camera, but when I look at them with my own eyes, I don't see much difference. So I would say this 2200 nits is a fairy tale, although both are quite well visible. Maybe this one is a little bit brighter, but also it is much bigger, which means probably that's why I think that I can see more clearly on this one. So, and the sun is shining from behind, so directly on both of the monitors. Okay, I'll move a bit into a really direct sun, and maybe Andycine is a bit brighter. It's still on 100%, and this one also 100% of the backlit. So yes, maybe it is a bit brighter. Is it 2 times brighter? Hard to say. I would say that both are quite the same. I guess that both gives you the same amount of assurance regarding the display. Maybe Andycine is a bit better. For sure it's better because it's bigger, but regarding brightness, hard to say. Yeah, so that's the difference between Atomos and Andycine in a direct sun, although this sun is a winter sun, so it is not that harsh as the sun during the summer because it's much lower on the sky, so it's a bit tamed. But still, I would say that both are quite impressive in a direct sun. For example, I can't see anything on my Sony monitor, even though it's in the shadow, because my head creates the shadow over it. I'm just guessing that what's in the frame. And the original display is much worse than both of the external monitors, although you can see something, but it's much worse. It's also 100% of, it's called brightness, but it's the brightness of the display, so it's the same as backlit. That's the reality of it. So because of the size, I would say the Andycine is better in the bright sun, even though that the brightness is comparable. But regarding the functionality, I'm quite happy with the results. I tried this with all my lenses and focusing results are better than on the Ninja because it's easier to focus. You got better zoom capabilities. It is 3 times zoom compared to the 2 times on Atomos, but Shinobi got 4 times, so it might be better. I don't know, because it is still smaller, and 7-incher is, I would say, much better option for the Blackmagic 6K. So this lives all the time on my Blackmagic, unless I want a really small setup, so I remove the monitor. But lately I got this on my Pocket 6K all the time, and whenever I shoot I use this, and I'm really happy from the results on the display. Although they advertised this got 2200 nits, I doubt it. It seems a bit brighter than 100 nits on the Atomos Ninja V, but it seems a bit brighter than Atomos Ninja. Atomos is supposed to have 1000 nits, and this is supposed to be more than 2 times brighter. I doubt it, but it's still impressive. It's still impressive, although it is not what they claim. Maybe it's just my copy that is not that bright, but it doesn't seem to be that bright as they claim it is. So I've been using this for 2 weeks and I'm quite happy. I think that choosing the bigger monitor was the best option I could get for Pocket 6K, because I still got really small footprint. I got small follow focus, the smallest possible, I think, with one rod, with just one rod. Although this rod is moving, as you can see on the review of the Tilta Mini, so it is a thing to consider. And I'm very happy about this monitor. I bought it with my own money, so it is not a sponsored review. That's just my honest opinion on it. And I've seen some reviews when they claim it's flawless. It's not, because the build quality is not the best. The battery compartments are quite annoying. HDMI connectors are on the bottom. It depends on the configuration. For my rig, it is not the best placement. And the brightness is not as bright as advertised, but still it's a good monitor, I would say, for the price. It produces a little bit different image than the Atomos, although it seems more pleasing to the eye. It's a bit warmer, so I do not complain about it. It really doesn't matter because I color grade the footage in post. So I'd say I would recommend this, although you have to be aware that there are some caveats, that this is not as good as some people describe it. But I think it's the best option for Pocket 6K and 4K with regards of the bang for your buck. So I think it's a good option. So far I got really good results using this monitor on Pocket 6K, and I got better results with my focus using Tilta Mini and this monitor than with Atomos or the internal monitor of the camera. So my expectations are met with this. So I wonder what will be the temperatures when I shoot with this during the summer, because inside, when you got 23 degrees of ambient temperature, it gets above 50 degrees Celsius, so you can burn yourself, but you won't touch it for a long amount of time, so I guess it's hard to burn yourself. But you have to be aware that it's getting really hot, and maybe it would be the case this, if it's too hot, it shuts down, but it never shut down on me, so it's not the case yet. So I like it on my rig, and I can recommend it for any Blackmagic user, and probably it's good for any other camera. But for my Sony, I will use Atomos now. So the big one is for Blackmagic, Atomos is for the Sony a6600 because Sony looks really ridiculous with this one, and it got autofocus, so I don't need a big monitor for pulling focus. Cheers, mate.